Thank you for staying with us on The Explainer. Tonight we have an interesting conversation, as we've promised you all evening, and this is about investing in startups, investing in ventures on the continent. It's an important conversation because Africa continues to receive just 1 to 2% of global venture capital. And this is despite a vibrant young population that is innovating on a daily basis. And so, Boost Africa Venture is a joint initiative by the European Investment Bank and the African Development Bank to enhance entrepreneurship and innovation on the continent with support from the European Union. We want to talk more about that. The fund, how does it work? How do they select some of their projects? And also speaking to some of the beneficiaries of the projects to understand the impact that this is set to have on the continent, in the country, not just for the next year, but for many years to come. Ladies and gentlemen, my panel tonight, thank you very much for joining us. Edward Clayson, who's the head of the European Investment Bank Regional Hub for East Africa. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Ivan.
Also, we have Bruce Luseko, who's Seed Stars Ventures Fund Manager. Thank you, Bruce, and we'll talk about what the fund does.
Cheers.
And Samuel Munguti, who's the CEO of Shamba Pride.
Thank you.
Sounds like an interesting venture. Can't wait to get into it. So let's first start by talking about this venture. And before we get into Boost Africa, perhaps, Edward, you could tell us about the work that the bank is doing in Africa, and perhaps more specifically in Kenya.
Sure. Well, it's a pleasure to be here, first of all. And the European Investment Bank is the EU bank. We've been active in Africa since the 1960s, and specifically in Kenya, we started investing in 1977 when we did our first project. Since then, we've invested into more than 70 large projects, more than 1.8 billion euros. We are investing both in the private sector and in the public sector, and we provide both equity into venture capital funds and private equity funds, but also debt, either to the government to finance a project, or to a large corporation, or through our partner banks who can then on-lend to SMEs. And we are an implementing partner of the Global Gateway, a European Union initiative, and very much, we are very much here to support the private sector. More than 40% of our financing has gone to the private sector.
Let's talk about Boost Africa then for a moment. What's the inspiration behind this? How does it align with that Global Gateway strategy you've talked about?
So for us, the private sector is a very important sector. It's the key driver of economic growth. It's the key driver of job creation. And this is where Global Gateway comes in, because under the Global Gateway program, there is a program called IYBA, which stands for Investing in Young Businesses in Africa. And as part of the IYBA program, we have Boost Africa. Boost Africa, specifically, as you said, it's started by us, the European Investment Bank, together with the African Development Bank, and strongly supported by the European Commission. But Boost Africa aims to expand the capital available to the venture capital segment, to startups, and to entrepreneurs. And why is this important? Because when you're an entrepreneur or when you're running a startup, it's very difficult to have access to capital. You generally use your own savings, or maybe you get money from friends and family, because you can't go to a bank, because you generally don't have collateral and you don't have positive cash flow. So this is where the Boost Africa initiative can make a difference.
All right, and that happens through funds,
yes,
like Seed Stars?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right, okay.
It's one of the beneficiaries.
One of the beneficiaries. So tell us about the work that you do at Seed Stars before we get into particularly your collaboration with EIB.
Great. Thank you so much, Yvonne. So Seed Stars Africa Ventures, we're a venture capital fund that seeks to support businesses that are creating goods and services for Africa's rapidly growing population, particularly through capital-efficient business models. So typically we find these are tech-enabled businesses, so they use technology to help them provide their goods and services, tech platforms that leverage technology to be highly scalable, or what we'd call CapEx-light business models, which are business models that still provide goods and services, but in a structure that is less capital intensive than what you find with traditional businesses. So really for us, we're targeting businesses that can serve the rapidly growing population of Africa, and really provide goods and services that are not provided by be it government or traditional business models.
And so how do you identify the businesses that you choose to support? And then we can talk about now the funding specifically and how that works. But how do you identify them? Is it size of company? Is it the age of the owners? And how much money do you then decide that you're going to invest in specific areas?
Okay, so typically as a venture capital fund, we'd be looking for businesses that are tech-enabled or CapEx light, as I've mentioned.
Yeah.
And in doing so, we use our networks, our business expertise to find these businesses. So particularly for Seedstars Africa Ventures, one of our partner organizations, Seedstars, has been on the continent for over a decade, actually started operations out in 2012, and have run various initiatives to grow entrepreneurship on the continent. We leverage their network. They've been operational in over 25 African countries to find businesses that would meet our mandate and effectively provide us attractive investment opportunities. On top of that, our fund management team, we have over 50 years of experience investing and growing businesses on the continent. So obviously through that, we've built our own networks that help us find this lucrative deal flow.
What's the average ticket size? How much money on average do you give? I mean, I'm sure, of course, it varies, right, from one company to another, but could you give us an average of the ticket size?
So our ticket size ranges from about $500,000 US to $2 million.
Okay.
But one unique thing about our fund is we follow on our investments. So we follow on up to a position of $5 million if the company is performing and looking lucrative in terms of delivering value for us as a shareholder. Yeah.
What would you say? Is it patient capital? Because that's what a lot of young people and young businesses need. I think, like Edward has said, collateral is obviously something that is not available to them. But is this some form of patient capital? And what else besides just the funding and besides just the money do you offer?
So venture capital funds typically have a tenor, a life. So we have a tenor of effectively 10 years. So as long as we invest early within our fund life, we can stick with our businesses for some time, help them grow, help them scale, and then exit. So we're looking to be with our companies from between 5 to 7 years. And with regards to the support that we provide, so other than capital, we're what is called an active investor. So we sit on the boards of the companies that we invest in. We take on a significant minority stake in these businesses and really seek to help them thinking through business strategy, execution, and then furthermore actually help them with business development. So link them to corporates that can help them further grow and scale their businesses, as well as take them into new markets, so on and so forth.
Yeah, and one of those typical type of businesses that you're investing in is Shamba Pride. Let's hear from you, Samuel, on the story of Shamba Pride. What do you do? How did you get started? Tell us your story.
Thank you, Yvonne. I'll start with how Shamba Pride began. Farming and delivery of farming solutions has been very close to me, very passionate. I grew up and I was born in a rural Kenyan farming community where farm harvest is really driving economies, is driving livelihoods, and a very significant part of the circle for those farming. Yeah. And to me, I think that has always been the inspiration that when I grow up, I will come back to the same community and plug in to support delivering, removing barriers that have limited farmer success for many years. After university, I stayed a couple of years in the corporate sector. I worked in two multinationals, Coca-Cola and Colgate-Palmolive, and specifically managing their last mile distribution, supporting product quality, building distribution and supply chain systems. And then in 2016, I wanted to settle in Nairobi and finish my MBA program. and realized that I had a lot of free time. So I looked around what else I could do. And to me, comparing smooth, streamlined distribution systems from companies like Coca-Cola, for example, known globally as having very efficient supply chains, and what happens in the agriculture sector, actually it was completely the opposite. So that was really an opportunity that I saw immediately to build a business and create impact. So Shamba Pride, what we do is that we connect rural farmers to modernized tech-enabled digital shops. We call them agrovets. And then we provide tech-powered services, reliable, dependable supply chain, market access, and training services, and above all, offer digital management tools to farmers and agro-dealer stores to support them really run their business more successfully. And so far, we feel that we are really plugging in to the childhood dream of coming back to the same community to support them thrive more in their farming ventures.
Yeah. So how many farmers do you work with, and what sort of produce goes through your supply chain?
Currently, we are working with 80,000 farmers directly, and Shamba platform, the way it is designed is that it connects farmers directly with agro-dealer stores, and basically providing now the reliable, dependable supply chain and digital management tools, but supporting currently 80,000 farmers.
What crops are they growing mostly? Is it a variety or?
It's a variety,
specific?
given that our space is tackling limitations on access to credible quality agriculture inputs and services. So our value chains for farmers cuts across avocado farmers, maize farmers, rice farmers, green gram farmers, basically. Yeah.
And so what was the main challenge you were facing? I know it'll be access to funds. So speak to us a little bit about that. And then how you're able to connect to the private equity firm that invested in your company.
When you speak to early stage businesses and startups in Kenya and across Africa, they'll tell you that the major challenge is access to funds. The major challenge is getting investor ready for their business. And for Shamba Pride, when you ask me our biggest challenge, then it was access to capital and also getting investor ready. And investor ready is whereby you can have now, beyond Seedstars, other investors saying that I can put their money to Shamba Pride and have potential return for investment.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the biggest challenge.
Yes.
All right. So then how do you connect with the private equity firm, and what's been the impact of that?
Yes. So when we met Seedstars, for example, Seedstars African Ventures, I put two key things that plug into the VC firm and locked in Shamba Pride business. So one of them is the obvious one, capital. The raising capital is a huge, huge challenge. And basically, a lot of entrepreneurs in Kenya, in Africa, have fantastic ideas. But again, limited access to capital really limits those ideas from going to the market and also going to scale. So accessing capital, one, unlocked a lot for Shamba Pride. One of the things I pick, for example, is 3 years down the line, our employees have grown from average of 4 employees. Now we have 58 plus employees. Within 3 years, our revenues have grown 80 times in a couple of 3 years. And we feel that that's significant practical things we can pick as impact of plugging into firms like Seedstars. Then 2, on investor readiness. That's also key for a company really to prepare to go to scale and also attract more investors. For example, Bruce has talked about getting to early stage companies, taking a significant minority stake, sitting in the board. I think, to me, getting to Shamba Pride and getting, for example, things that were not before, like a formal board of directors that can give strategic direction to the business, participating a lot in giving direction and shaping Shamba Pride path to scale. Some of those beyond capital initiatives. And I feel that I always speak of one very key important intervention that the company has benefited from. We have had multi-layered technical assistant initiatives. I think Boost Africa has been one of the key ones that our teams have gone through a couple of times. Very powerful, practical results has been, for example, our finance and accounts structures reporting like to excellent levels. And I feel that probably that's a very key contribution to technical assistance that has been offered through partnership with the Seed Stars Africa and also benefiting from programs like Boost Africa initiative.
Yeah, and maybe that's one of the questions you always talk about when you talk about money, because it's one thing to throw money at the problem, but there's a lot more than just funds. Are these some of the gaps that Boost Africa is seeking to bridge amongst African entrepreneurs, investor readiness, amongst others?
Yes, definitely. I think I would say the unique thing about Boost Africa is twofold. One is indeed that apart from providing capital, it's providing technical assistance. I'm not going to repeat what Samuel and Bruce just said, but I think it's very important to train some African entrepreneurs need those skills still, how to sell yourself to an investor, how to write a business plan, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that is one unique aspect. The other unique aspect is there is a big gap in terms of what amount of private capital is going to Africa. You mentioned it in your introduction, roughly 2% of private capital is coming to Africa. But Africa represents 18% of the global population. So this is a huge perceived gap. Or this is a big gap, but I think it's largely a perceived risk why it keeps people from investing here. So Boost Africa tries to address that. The way we try to address this is by making an investment in the funds that we support less risky. So we're investing in a junior tranche, trying to de-risk the investment for other investors, so to make them more eager to come into these funds.
Mm-hmm. Is that an issue that you've seen, a perception around Africa? Is that perhaps one of the challenges that you experience when you're trying to fundraise for the businesses you want to invest in on the continent?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
It is a challenge. The world sees Africa as a risky place to place investments and attributes risk to many factors, be it incomplete infrastructure, political risk, and variability, so on and so forth. But if you do think about the world and the context of the world today, it is quite unstable. We have conflicts everywhere, so on and so forth. So Africa isn't particularly unique in that. And I think as fund managers, we really need to show the opportunity that Africa has, having the world's youngest population, having some of the world's highest economic growth rates, having a population that is highly educated, and really show how that is a unique opportunity for businesses to grow and scale. I think a particular aspect of VC that is strong in Africa is that really the African population has goods and services that they need that are not being provided, and VC can actually help plug in those gaps. You'll find venture capital in the modern or Western world tends to, yes, create solutions for existing business challenges, but at the same time, some of these are not as needed as the kind of problems that are being solved in Africa. Venture capital today in Africa is solving problems such as access to clean cooking solutions, provision of water, internet access. These are basic needs, and therefore businesses of value can be created from them.
Yeah. Is there a particular challenge you see? So we've talked about the perception of risk globally when you're trying to fundraise, on the global stage for Africa. But are there some specific challenges that you see with some of the startups or those that come to you seeking funding that you think Boost Africa can sort of bridge?
Well, I think the problems that you find with startups, be it in Africa, are very similar to what you'd find on the global scale. So typically you'd be having problems with corporate governance, generally speaking. So are companies well run? Do they have processes to run the operations? Are they well licensed? So on and so forth. That's a problem that you'll find with most startups across the world.
Yeah.
And then, a lack of long-term vision or a need to build a long-term vision and sustain it. So I think the problems are similar across the world. I wouldn't say that African startups are particularly unique.
Okay, all right. And one of those is, of course, like you were saying, you have a minority stake in the company, so you actually invest in it beyond just giving funds to sort of help build that capacity with the entrepreneurs and businesses?
So ensuring that we have a significant stake in the company is us buying into the company.
Yes.
And therefore needing to make sure that the company becomes a success.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And therefore, we seek to build structures to help businesses solve these problems that they face. So now specifically speaking about Boost Africa, Boost Africa actually provides us this technical assistance program, which is providing us the ability to hire consultants, business experts to solve specific problems for companies. So yes, we are fund managers with significant experience, but we can't solve all problems and specific problems, be it a business is thinking about their marketing strategy, be it a business is figuring out how to acquire customers and so on. So we can leverage this technical facility to get consultants in to help these businesses solve these problems, and top-tier consultants that have helped businesses across the world grow and scale.
Yeah, and that's what you were able to experience, Samuel, with some of that top-tier consultancy services?
Yeah, sure. That's what we have experienced. I think, to me, when you leverage and unlock the potential of what capital can do, that's one, and also two, what human capital can do, and that's the part that Bruce is talking about, where beyond the capital that is put on the table, I think I've really take pride of the Seedstars team. They look at how much more they can support the team to grow, how much more they can support the business really to get more, attract more capital. Attracting more capital is getting more investor ready. How much more they can support the business to have more structures, more like corporate governance is speaking about. And I feel that's exactly what we have really been able to take through that,
Yeah, and you know, the idea of making yourself investor ready, some of that needs to happen before you can catch the eye of Seedstars and Boost Africa. Even on a scale where, you know, now from your experience, where a startup or a venture doesn't have that much money to deal with, because I understand in the beginning of a business, you just want to keep the lights on, right? You want to keep it running. I get that. Do you think there are some things that, you know, a small startup can do towards trying to build even the framework of structure that then starts to get them towards being investor ready? Maybe stuff that you can do before you even, you know, get the big bucks.
Yeah, so one of the things that probably entrepreneurs thinking about building or even building some good stuff outside there is that micro enterprises, small businesses like Shampa Pride, in any economy, they play a big role. For example, whether it's creating employment, for example, Kenya is a very good case, like many other African countries. Huge employment is driven by small micro enterprises, the same way they're driving economies. So that's a very important space that Shampa is playing, and many other entrepreneurs there who are already looking at building businesses. I think my advice will be, one is like entrepreneurs look at space you have passion about, you resonate very well with, whether it is farming, for example, growing up in a farming community, or even solving health challenges because you feel you really want the population to be healthy. So look at spaces you have really huge passion about, and also two, have a clear vision on what you want to build. And building a business has a lot of challenges along the way. So if you have a very clear vision, like for example, what is the prime stage of Shampa Pride? What do we want to see? Thriving farming communities, really generating more return for their farming ventures.
Yeah.
I think to us, that becomes now the star every day that motivates you to keep going each and every day. And also three is don't build alone. We have the ecosystem, for example, in Kenya is full of many players really looking at supporting early stage entrepreneurs, even beyond venture capital firms like Seedstars, see them. We have accelerators in the space. I think a few of them I'll mention. For example, Growth Africa has done some fantastic work. E4 Impact has done fantastic work. They embrace young entrepreneurs with just ideas and prepare them on how to pitch. They prepare them on how to keep simple financial records. They prepare them on how to form a team. I think look at that space and don't build alone. Like look at the ecosystem, what other people are doing to support young entrepreneurs. And those are some of the things that I can speak to entrepreneurs as they build really to look at. And then also, lastly, build a pipeline. I think that's how I get to connect with Seedstars. Build a pipeline randomly of potential in your space venture capital firms, potential funders, send cold emails even without them knowing them, even wait a week or two, do a reminder, follow-up email. To me, I think as you do that, you realize that you'll start actually picking up. And capital firms like Seedstars, they'll start identifying you, and many others in the space. They want really bold entrepreneurs to come up and dare really to build. A lot of people are really looking at supporting these ideas, but you need to come out and dare to build.
Right. And there's lots of things that you can do even before you get all of that money. Like you say, don't build alone. Have a team with you. Maybe if you talk about the program Boost Africa, sort of looking at the bigger picture, Edward, what would you say has been the program's impact so far in terms of the jobs you've created, the innovation that's come out of it, and growing the startup scene in Kenya and in Africa?
Yeah, well, in terms of actual numbers, the program is now fully committed. We've invested 78 million euros in 6 funds. Those funds have already raised 382 million euros, but some of them are still fundraising, so we expect that number to go up further. More than 70 companies have already been supported, and many of them are growing fast, creating jobs, growing revenues. At the end of the program, we expect more than 120 companies to have been supported, and to date, more than 15,000 jobs have been created or sustained by the program. So that in itself is already a success. However, I think the real success will be, let's say, seen in the future, because what we would ideally like to see is that funds like Seedstars and other funds are becoming such a success that in the future they don't need a junior tranche, they don't need public sector support. They are commercially so attractive that people want to invest in them, and they can raise more capital and support more companies like Shamba Pride. We've seen many other success stories already. For example, in Kenya, another investee of Seedstars is Power Internet, really changing lives of people in underserved areas, enabling them to generate income through their mobile connection and good, let's say, internet connectivity at affordable rates. So plenty of innovation going on in the program, plenty of companies being supported, and so far we're very happy. We think it's a successful program, and we're looking forward to expand it.
Yeah, and I'll come back and talk about what that expansion looks like. For those who are just hearing about this, for the first time now, you've been at it with Boost Africa. I believe your investment started in 2020?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you believe then when people say, and I guess the reason I picked 2020 is that was during the pandemic, right? Just something on what Samuel was talking about, the SME sector. It's believed that, post-pandemic, it's the SMEs that will help us build back better. Do you believe that SMEs are the place to go, the place to invest, and why?
Yeah, I agree. I think it is the future. I think 2/3 of jobs in Kenya are created in the SME space. So first of all, it's a key driver of economic growth and job creation. There are many entrepreneurs. I mean, Bruce has already said it. There's a young population here, well-educated, ambitious, and very entrepreneurial. But what they need is capital. And you see more innovation, not only in Kenya, but across Africa, across the world. You see generally more innovation in startups and in young companies that are growing, and not so much in the large, very large companies, where generally innovation seems to go down a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely believe in SME sector, and this is also where you can achieve good returns because these companies can still grow exponentially, which again is more difficult when companies grow bigger.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. You know, in the SME space, what sectors do you see the highest potential for growth, Bruce?
Oh, great. Actually, I was just going to feed off
Okay.
Edward's point. SMEs are very important in Africa, and enabling their growth as well as serving them is important for our economic growth. So SMEs contribute to 90% of businesses in Africa. 40% of GDP is generated by SMEs. And furthermore, 60 to 80% of jobs actually come from SMEs. So the SMEs are a great sector to enable economic growth. So just adding on to his point. And actually, as venture capital funds in Africa, you will tend to find a lot of business models are either empowering SMEs to do business, providing them credit to grow business, or serving them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which areas do you see as potential for growth? What are you excited about?
Well, I see 4 key sectors. So obviously, financial services is a big sector for growth. Africa has done great strides in empowering access to finance across the continent, be it mobile money, chamas, SACCOs, so on and so forth. However, there's still a huge credit gap. So IFC notes that the credit gap for SMEs is about $330 billion annually in Africa. So there's significant need for financing for entrepreneurs, for small businesses, to enable them to achieve their potential. And finance is really the key to all forms of business. So if we have a healthy financial sector, we will see other sectors grow and scale. Insurance services, I think, is also a big opportunity. So we see insurance penetration in Africa being at about 3% of GDP, so 3% premiums. Sorry, let me take that a step back. So the premiums are about 3% of GDP. If you compare that to the Western world, it's typically about 7%. So there is a huge insurance gap. And you know, there's massive need for various insurance products, be it life insurance, health insurance, so on and so forth. So I see a significant gap there. Obviously, healthcare. Our population is getting better health standards. Life expectancy is about 64 years, but that is still behind the global average of 80 years. Yeah. So there's significant investment that can be put into healthcare. And I guess the last sector being education. There's significant opportunity to upskill workers to tertiary levels of education and use this huge workforce that we are creating to serve the world. So those are really the 4 key sectors that I see a significant opportunity for in Africa.
Yeah, and what are some of the examples for you that stand out that have been successful as a result of this program? Shambo Pride is, of course, one of them. But talk to us about some of the other success stories.
Okay, well, we have quite a diverse portfolio.
Yeah.
And through this portfolio, we've invested in companies that are helping individuals reach financial saving goals through a digital retail fund manager. That's called Zeno, operational in Uganda. Started operating in Kenya, managing over $25 million of assets under management, and helping individuals achieve saving goals through investments in the various funds that they manage and the robo-investment advisor they provide. We all know that financial education and literacy is a bit of an issue in Africa, and this platform is making it easy and straightforward for individuals and businesses to take advantage of financial instruments. Edward has spoken about Poa Internet, that is helping thousands of households within the continent actually gain access to high quality internet in informal areas where cable internet cannot really be provided cost effectively. And the populations are therefore leveraging this to do business, gain knowledge, so on and so forth. We have companies like Ampersand, so we're an investor in Ampersand. This is the electric motorbike vehicle operator.
Right.
So they produce these motorbikes that are good for the environment, but actually provide a means to income to thousands of individuals. So they actually create financing models so that these bikes can be taken on cost effectively. They have built an infrastructure so these bikes can be charged, and they're effectively a lot more cost effective than using motorbikes. Your typical ICE motorbikes, use fuel and so on.
Yeah.
But I think the real standout case that we have on our portfolio is a company called Beacon Power Services. What they are is an energy grid management software company. So they enable energy grid managers to optimize the provision of energy across their grids. So what you will find is grid managers typically lose between 20 to 40% of energy through distribution. And they've developed a software that works with the kind of equipment and infrastructure that we have in Africa that enables these grid operators to monitor their grid, optimize their operations, interact with their clients, provide information to their clients on their usage, and gain payments from their clients. So that company started out in Nigeria in 2021, serving one grid operator. Today, they serve over 12 grid operators across Africa. They have grown their revenue by 15 times. So this is multi-million-dollar revenue today. They are an EBITDA positive company, so a very attractive company for later stage investors to come in and buy us out and so on. Saving about 1.7 million metric tons of carbon every year. So great for the environment as well. And now with that company, we're getting big institutional investors, the likes of Proparco, FinFund, actually coming in and investing in this business. So we sat in the board of that company, helped that company develop business in different countries and grow and scale. We also help them build partnerships with global corporates such as EDF Energy to optimize the solution that they provide energy grid distributors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, very interesting success stories that we get to hear. I wish we could have had all of them here to just talk to us about their business, much like we're hearing about Shamba Pride and the great strides they've made in just, 3 years, right? Yeah. Raising capital is an uphill task, Samuel. What would you say to others about how to invest in Shamba Pride and other ventures like yours?
Yes. So I think, like I've said, that startups and small businesses play a significant role in driving economies globally and specifically across Africa, creating jobs for populations. I think beyond Seedstars, I still call upon many institutional investors, call many VC firms to look at Africa as a potential space for investment. We have very young, many entrepreneurs, very innovative entrepreneurs with great ideas. Capital still remains huge barrier for their success. And we feel that we need many more EIB in the space. We need many more Seedstars Africa in the space to help support these entrepreneurs and unlock the potential for their great, fantastic ideas here.
Okay. And so we've heard of the amounts that have been invested since 2020. So there's someone who's watching and who's thinking, how come I didn't know about this? And it's been running for 5 years. How does one get the attention of Boost Africa, Edward?
I guess what you're saying is, Yvonne, we should have been here a few years earlier. So maybe
now's as good a time as any.
No, it's true. Being a European investment firm organization, it's not so easy to maybe attract attention here. But this is, and we also don't believe that we can pick the winners from Luxembourg, where we're based. This is exactly why we work with local fund managers. We believe the local fund managers know best
landscape better.
what are the best opportunities. They understand the local dynamics of the economies. Is a company like Shamba, can it be a success or not? It would be much more difficult for me to judge that, or my colleagues, than it would be for a local fund manager. So we believe working through the local fund managers, but it's true, maybe being a foreign entity, it has not been so easy to get the attraction, the attention, and I think it's very great that we're here, and hopefully this will help. We're working on a successor program, which we hope to announce soon. We expect it to be more than double in size. So that should be good news for young African entrepreneurs and for the VC scene here. So there is a future, but what I really hope is that this program makes other people realize, including African investors, because one of the things that is not happening as much as I would like to see it in Africa is that African pension funds, insurance companies, asset managers actually invest in African VC firms. You see this in Europe, you see this a lot in the US, and this is something that needs to happen here, because the amounts we invest are interesting, I think, and significant, but a lot more is needed. And we can only get to those big amounts if we get African investors into the space as well.
Yeah, and that's a good call. So Boost Africa then, now after sort of 5 years of working with local fund managers to for this onward support to other investors, you said there's a new program that's coming up. So between now and then, is there still room for for some people? When is that new program coming in? In other words, how many more years or months do entrepreneurs have? At least with Boost Africa currently.
Well, to be honest, I mean, even though we have invested the money on our side into 6 funds, the work on their side is not finished yet, because Bruce's fund is still investing. So they will still be looking for more opportunities, and a number of these 6 funds are still investing in new companies. So for African entrepreneurs, there is still room to benefit from the current program. And then that will take a few more years, to be honest. So by the time our second program is up and running, I think some of the funds are still open for investment from the first program. So there should be almost like a continuous opportunity to approach us and to see if you can attract financing from one of these funds.
Okay, good. So which takes me to the next question, Bruce. What advice would you give to entrepreneurs who are looking to attract your attention? How do they make themselves a good fit? How do they make themselves ready enough for you to see the potential and say, hey, we like what we see and we want to invest?
Great. I think the first thing is they need to determine whether they're a venture business or not. So not all businesses are venture businesses. There are multiple ways to raise financing for your business. So I guess it is important to determine whether you're a venture business, you're a business that a venture investor would be interested in. So effectively capital efficient, as I mentioned, highly scalable business models. As you see, as we've been mentioning today, we've been talking about businesses that have grown their revenues from maybe $10,000, $20,000 a month to doing several $1 million a month within a period of 4 or 5 years. So if you think your business model can do that, great, approach venture capital funds, because that's what we're looking for. But if you think your business is maybe more traditional and so forth, I guess look for all the other forms of finance that are available and try to tap into that. I guess the next thing then is to ensure that you have a very clear business plan with regards to how you're operating your business to grow and scale and take advantage of this growing market opportunity. So for investors like us, so we're relatively an early stage investor, but more towards the latter stage of early stage, we need what we call product market fit. We need proof of product market fit. So we need businesses to show us that they are providing a good or service regularly to clients. Clients are enjoying or appreciating the product that they provide. And there is clear opportunity for that business model to scale. Typically, some level of proof point of your business model being able to scale is critical. And that's really what a VC investor needs to see. And then going back to the basics that you spoke to, Samuel, about being investor ready. And really being investor ready is ensuring you have that clear business plan to grow and scale. that you have your corporate governance in order. So you have an organizational structure, you have processes of how you run your business, you've sorted out your licensing and operating legally and in line with the law.
Right.
And critically, you have financial accounts. So financial statements, be it your P&L, your balance sheet, your cash flow statements, be it audited, so that when the investor comes in and looks at the opportunity, it's very clear and straightforward what they're investing in. There's nothing hidden, and we can then assess, is there really that big opportunity for this business model to grow and scale?
Okay. Do you think a venture, as we close, like Boost Africa has helped, like Edward says, to say to others, perhaps even on the continent, that, hey, there's a big pot here and you can also invest the same here? Because for sure Africa is not lack of lots of money from wealthy institutions, individuals, and perhaps also others like the European Investment Bank and AFDB. But do you think there's been a significant move towards, in your view now, are you able to fundraise better from other sources? Do you think it's helped you as a fund manager in that respect?
Yes, of course it's helped us. I think directly they've provided us funds to invest in startups and prove that these startups can actually grow and gain great value. Beacon Power Services is doing a fantastic job at that, as well as Shamba, obviously.
Yeah. In other words, I'm asking if you've used Boost Africa to go to, sorry, Edward, to go to other funds and other countries and other parts of the world and say, hey, look, this is something and it's working well, so come on board as well.
Yes, of course we have, especially given what Edward mentioned with regards to the first loss facility. So what a first loss facility does is that proportion of investment takes on any fund losses before any other investors take on a loss. So they're providing significant downside protection for investors. And that makes it a bit easier to invest in what you'd call a risky market or so on. So we really do appreciate what Boost Africa has provided, the fund. And that does enable conversations with more conservative investors that still do want to support African growth. So be it pension funds and the likes.
So who are adopting a wait and see. Hopefully now they've seen and they can stop waiting and jump in and get involved. Final words from you, Samuel, and then we'll close with you, Edward.
Yes, so I think probably I'll speak directly to entrepreneurs who are very interested in this space for venture capital, equity financing, capital financing, and probably they have had a lot of probably the wrong things about equity financing and venture capital funds. The space is really very full of venture capital firms like Seedstar, Africa Ventures, and African entrepreneurs is one of the top targets they are looking at. So these are not funds only available for Silicon Valley founded businesses. They're not funds only available for white founder businesses, as people say. They are not funds available for mature businesses. I think there are funds really specifically, like, for example, Seedstars and many others in that space, prioritizing early stage startup businesses to fund. And African founders actually are a priority for them. So I think I'll challenge those entrepreneurs to go to that space and really access those funds. Yeah.
Indeed, thank you. Edward, you get the final word.
Yeah, actually I wanted to respond to what Bruce just said. Indeed, even though we shield investors from some potential losses, we've actually seen in other parts of the world that very often these losses are not occurring. It is a perception, and a fund invests in many companies, and yes, maybe some of them are not successful, but generally some of them are very, very successful, really making up for, on a portfolio level, to still generate a very good return. So yeah, I would welcome any investor to basically look at Africa, look at fund managers like Seedstars and others, and make up your own mind. But we really believe in Africa. We believe there is a real future, and we hope that we will be followed by other investors.
Good, good, great. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being with us. Edward Clayson, who's the head of the European Investment Bank Regional Hub for East Africa. Bruce Luseko, who is the fund manager, Seed Stars Ventures. Thank you. Thank you to you, Samuel Munguti, as well. CEO, Shamba Pride. Truly, I think we take pride in the work that you're doing and what you've been able to achieve. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us on The Explainer tonight. Thank you as well for watching the program and the show tonight. Have a good night.